What's up, guys? YouTube and Wrestling Universe. AEW All Out took place August the 31st, 2019. Guys, please never take my word as definite when it comes to the time of the events. I don't work for any wrestling company, and I simply find the times like everybody else. Unfortunately, originally I read 8 o'clock for the pre-show, and I thought to myself that seemed a little late. And then later I heard it was at 6 p.m., which sounded a little more believable. But the actual pre-show was at 7 p.m. Eastern, with the show starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, live from Chicago, Illinois. The show starts with the Women Battle Royal. This match was okay. It really wasn't the greatest Battle Royal in the world, though. And I feel like they could have done a better job of showing the women as they came out and captured the eliminations. I also think they missed out on having Ivelisse and Mercedes in the ring at the same time, as Mercedes Martinez turned out to be the Joker. For the first 10 or so entries, it's simply the Nyla Rose show. We get a nice spot from Brandy, but I wasn't sure if she was just agile or if she was falling, and she continued to make it look believable. Leva Bates didn't do much, but had a spot where she stepped on her books to get back into the ring and avoid her elimination. The final three came down to Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, and Bea Priestley. Britt Baker eliminates Bea Priestley. And then we get the Royal Rumble 1992 spot to give Nyla Rose the win, as Priestley pulls Baker out of the ring from the outside. Nyla Rose dumps her out. A few women not mentioned that were in the Battle Royal, along with Mercedes Martinez, was ODB, Priscilla Kelly, and Tennille Dashwood, along with the mentioned Ivelisse and Jazz. There were points in the match where people were eliminated, such as Awesome Kong and Jazz, and you had no idea what happened, and no one even bothered to mention it. Next matchup, we had the Private Party versus Angelico and Jack Evans. Every time I looked at the screen, the Private Party seemed to be in the control, dominating the match. Private Party with a lot of combination tag team moves and high-flying action. Evans and Angelico gain control temporarily, but Private Party gets the win after the combination of a Frankensteiner off the top rope followed by a cutter. Afterwards, all the men shake hands, and then Evans and Angelico attack the Private Party from behind. We didn't get a promo for someone called Wardlow beating up a group of guys approaching him in the empty parking lot. And he also has this woman with him. We then have NJF in the back, and he says he didn't want a match tonight. He wants to be there for Cody. We start the actual show with Jim Ross joining the commentary team for the main show. But first, they try to get some more pay-per-view vibes. At the top of the hour, we get a promo for AEW on TNT. October the 2nd. We start with the national anthem, complete with pyro. Excalibur seems to get a little confused and mixed up with his commentary at this point. First match of the show was SCU versus Jurassic Express. Great 6-man tag team match. The fans are definitely behind the Jurassic Express, especially Luchasaurus. I think it's strange how no one really seems to care about Adam Page, yet he's going for the World Championship, when Luchasaurus seems like the hottest thing in the company. Once again, SCU proved me wrong with the win. After the match, Stunt and Jungle Boy are helped up, and all men shake hands with SCU raising the Express's hands before they walk to the back. Next up is Kenny Omega versus Pac. Guys, let me know which one it is. When I think of the name Pac, I think of Tupac. And I never thought I'd hear myself say what I said in my predictions about never being a Pac fan. For the record, I was referring to Pac, aka Neville. This match was okay, I guess, if you like these two guys and their style of wrestling. Throughout the show, as they announce how many minutes before the time limit expires, I began to wonder if a match will go to the time limit. It almost happened earlier in the show, but I would think if it was going to happen, they could do it here, so neither man suffers the loss. Towards the end of the match, both men are fatigued, but Pac locks in the Brutalizer and eventually gets Kenny Omega to go to sleep for the win. Next up in a Cracker Barrel clash, which leads me to believe this will be a hardcore match using Cracker Barrels. Also, I'm just curious who is actually eating at a Cracker Barrel restaurant. Leave it in the comments below. Anyhow, back to the match. Jimmy Havoc versus Darby Allin versus Joey Janela. Havoc starts off going under the ring to find a staple gun, and then he staples himself to start the match. Darby Allin winds up taping Jimmy Havoc into a chair, and then he puts thumbtacks in his mouth. Joey Janela then comes over with the tape and puts tape over his mouth to hold the tacks in. The match is now a one-on-one in the ring with actual wrestling for a short while. This wasn't a great classic match, but it had the high-hitting high spots involving the weapons, including a pan of biscuits, the crackle barrels, and a skateboard with thumbtacks on the bottom, leading to a lot of car crash moments. Jimmy Havoc winds up getting the win. This was entertaining. And at one point in the match, I was shocked to hear Potty Mouth JR say the S word. This was something I'd never actually heard from Jim Ross before, so it caught me off guard. Best Friends versus the Dark Order is next, and I have to admit this match was better than I expected, and it wasn't simply just a squash match. But as expected, the Dark Order gets the win and the bye in the tournament. After the match, the Dark Order attack Chuck Taylor and then try to carry Trent Barreto away. The lights go out and come back on with Orange Cassidy in the ring, and he dives onto the minions and saves Barreto. Apparently, for those who don't know, he's Chuck Taylor's training partner. Next matchup is Riho versus Shida to determine who will face Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. This is another good match that sees Riho get a win as Nyla walks out to eye her down from the ramp. I have to mention how ironic it is that Nyla Rose will be one of the two women going after the Women's Championship. I mention this because I also notice every time Jim Ross is talking about Nyla Rose, he pauses a little before saying woman. Diversity makes me think that Nyla Rose will become the first women's champion. Imagine the publicity if Nyla didn't become the champion as opposed to having her as the first AEW Women's Champion. Next matchup is Cody versus Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard. Cody is out with MJF, DDP, Brandy Rose, and his dog, and has some type of Star Wars-like entrance. Unfortunately, the pyro during Cody's entrance spooks the dog, and everyone but MJF wind up heading to the back. Earl Hebner is the referee for this match, and Cody starts off immediately with a dive outside of the ring on Shawn Spears, and then he lays out Tully Blanchard. The fight then goes into the crowd, and eventually Blanchard interferes, giving Spears the advantage. Blanchard winds up turning this into a strap match when he takes off his belt and hands it to Shawn Spears. We get more shocking potty mouth from JR. Throughout the match, they keep hinting at MJF's motives and make it sound like he's going to turn on Cody Rhodes. Tully winds up distracting the referee as Cody is about to get the win. Tully and MJF then go at it, and MJF is taken out of the equation by Shawn Spears. As Tully is nailing MJF, Arn Anderson sneaks in and hits the spinebuster on Shawn Spears. Arn Anderson then leaves, and Tully Blanchard follows behind him. As the match continues, Cody then winds up getting a win with the Crossroads. MJF comes in the ring, but he doesn't turn on Cody. He just comes in to celebrate. Next matchup, Escalara de la Muerta ladder match for the AAA Tag Team Championship. It's a great match as expected. At one point, Matt Jackson and Pentagon are both on top of the ladder, and then Pentagon hits a Canadian Destroyer from the ladder onto a table. This match has a lot of high-impact big spot moves as expected. A little later, Nick Jackson goes flying off of the ladder outside through two tables, and the way he fell wasn't pretty. At that point, Pentagon and Matt Jackson go at it on the ladder, and Matt pulls the mask off, gaining a lot of boos from the crowd. Pentagon is back up to knock the ladder over. Penta then retrieves his mask and hits a package pile driver on top of a ladder, which is propped on the ring and the outside apron, with Phoenix diving off of the top rope with the boots. The Lucha Brothers then climb the ladder and regain the championships. As they celebrate, two men wear masks come out and clap for them. And as they come in the ring, they knock the Lucha Brothers off of the ladder, and then they wind up attacking the Young Bucks as well. Later, the hoods are removed, and we see it's the debut of Santana and Ortiz, aka LAX. The main event for the first ever world champion, we have Hangman Adam Page versus Chris Jericho, which begins with Adam Page coming out riding a horse. The first 20 minutes of this match weren't bad and had the crowd into it, but during the match, Jericho gets his eye busted open, and this changes the pace of the match. Jericho seems a little out of it, and the audience quiets down a bit. Jericho continues to fight back and then comes through winning with the Judas effect. Another good match, but this makes more sense honestly than having Adam Page win. I went back later to watch this because I seen some people saying it was a bad match, and I have to disagree. Guys, that was AEW All Out. Later on the after show, they showed Chris Jericho walking forward to celebrate by himself. Let me know, did you guys see AEW or did you watch NXT UK? Which was your favorite show and which was your favorite moments of the night? Guys, I hope you enjoyed the events in this video. Thank you for watching / listening, and thank you for being here.